Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where I come every day to shake my brain nipples so I can earn some of that good YouTube money to be able to pay to give you folks free education. So Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. We do free hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do. Our first class is coming up in Durham, North Carolina at American Underground on Wednesday. That is all full, but we're going to be having more classes coming up. So if you're interested, make sure to go to silicondojo.com. Why am I here? I am here to talk about stupid crap so I have enough money to do what is actually important in this world. So anyways, I think this is an interesting story to talk about today because this is one of the problems that comes up when I have folks contact me to ask about getting a job. Right, so one of the big things is for a while there, for many months, I was doing one-on-one sessions with my students, with my viewers on Monday, where I planned to answer questions about which stacks to build things on, or how to add value, or how to create startup companies, or any of that kind of stuff. And instead, I just got questions about jobs. Eli, how do I get a job? And as I've had to say for a long time, I don't know. Right? The macro forces out there, the macro forces that allow people to get jobs, that is just a big issue, and it's not something that is very easy to talk about. You know, what do? You go to events, go to technology events and meetups and those types of things. Every time you go to an event, meet one person and create enough of a relationship that the next time you see them, you say, hey, how's X, Y, or Z going? How's your dog doing? How's your kids' lacrosse team doing? How are the flowers doing? Whatever else, right? Every event you go to, you learn about somebody enough so when you see them again, you can say something, right? You talk about the things that you are doing. Make sure to put stuff up on GitHub, publish things on blogs and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, and just keep pushing the ball forward, right? That's the kind of stuff that I can give you, and that's the generic stuff that will help you get a job, basically, regardless of the economy. Sometimes it'll allow you to get a job quickly, and sometimes it'll allow you to get a job, quicker than the people that aren't doing it. But how quick does that mean? Who the hell knows? And as I've talked about this before, right? I graduated high school into recession. I went through the dot-com bust. I went through the Great Recession. I went through the COVID, whatever the hell's going on with COVID. And so what's currently going on, right, is yet another economic kerfuffle. And it's very difficult to, again, how do you get a job, right? It's somebody has to be willing to hire you. Somebody needs to be hiring the types of skills that you have, right? You have to be put in front of them, and they have to decide, on you versus the other contenders for the position. You add all that up, and that's how people get jobs, right? Eli, how do I learn Linux? That I can explain. How do I pick a stack? That I can explain. How do I get it? It's like, I don't know. Like, this is how you get in front of people. Then beyond that, it's a hell of a question mark, right? The other big issue too is that I have people contacting me from around the country, right? And the important thing to understand is geographic economies are different, right? I think about this with Silicon Dojo. So Silicon Dojo, again, pride and joy. I've been trying to push this for 4 or 5 years right now, and have been having a hell of a time in Asheville, North Carolina. Here's the thing, in Asheville, nobody cares. In Asheville, North Carolina, they pat you on the head, they say, I hope it works out for you, and then they walk the fuck away. Right? I have pushed the concept of Silicon Dojo so hard in Asheville, North Carolina, and the response is just adorably stupid. Like, I have gotten some fucking fabulous stories from Asheville, right? But that's the thing, you do the classes here in Asheville, you get 5 to 10 people showing up, and people, whatever, right? The curious thing, as I talked about with Durham, so one of the reasons we're doing the class in Durham, North Carolina, so I go there, right? And so Durham is part of the Research Triangle. Research Triangle in North Carolina has a lot of the big tech companies. It has IBM, it has Red Hat, it has Cisco, it has a lot of other folks there. So, right, it already has a real technology industry. And it has a metro area of about 2.8 million people. all told. So one of the interesting things there, right? So I've been pushing for Silicon Dojo in Nashville for so long, and it's just a wet fart. It's just a wet fart in Nashville. Anyway, so I go there, and there's this guy Todd Lewis. So Todd Lewis runs the All Things Open conference. So I met him. I met Todd Lewis last year. So when I had to evacuate from Hurricane Helene, or the disaster of Hurricane Helene, my wife and I didn't know where to go. I had heard about Research Triangle, so I go to Research Triangle, right? I go to one of their meetups there, one of the All Things Open meetups there. There's like 200 people. There's 200 people that go to this meetup at the Broadband campus somewhere near Raleigh. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I find out that they have a conference, right? They do their own conference. So about a month later, I go to their conference. So when I go to their conference, I happen to run into the head, this guy Todd Lewis, who runs All Things Open. We start talking. He's like, wow, I don't know why. He takes a shine to me. Again, and this is the important thing with understanding, like just meeting people, and sometimes people care and sometimes people don't. Again, I've been in Asheville. I've met a shit ton of people in Asheville who don't really give a shit that I exist. Let's be honest. They don't care. Which is fine. Look, it's fine. Anyway, the funny thing is, right, so I go to this conference. This conference has thousands of people. I happen to wind up talking to the guy who's actually running the conference, and he just fucking takes a shot. He's just like, wow, you're cool. Like, okay. And he allows me into a special dinner for speakers and those types of things at the All Things Open conference, and the whole 9 yards. He just really likes what I'm trying to do. Anyway, so I go to Durham a couple of weeks ago because I had figured out American Underground. So there's this place called American Underground, and basically for $200 a month, I get a floating desk, which I don't really care about because I don't want a desk. Anyway, so it's a co-working space. So you get a floating desk for $200 a month. But what you also get is basically unlimited access to their community areas. So they have conference rooms and they have classrooms. So they have a 35-person classroom. They have a 20-person classroom. They have smaller classrooms. They have a room that fits up to 150 people. And if you use the room that supports up to 150 people, all you have to do is on top of the $200 a month I pay for my floating desk, I then have to pay a $150 cleanup fee. So think about this, a 150-person room for basically as long as I want, a chunk of time. And all I have to pay is $150 for the cleanup fee, right? That's something I can do with. Anyways, so I go to American Underground, and then I figure, I'll do that when I go to an All Things Open meetup in Durham. So All Things Open, again, has these meetups. So they were having an AI meetup where like 350 people were supposed to show up. So I go to that. There's probably like 250, 300 people there. I see Todd Lewis again, right? And he's like, hey, glad that you're here. And we start talking again. He's a good guy. Anyway, so I sit there and, I'm part of I watch the whole thing. There's this presentation on artificial intelligence that's kind of interesting. And then literally right at the end, like as everything's wrapping up, Todd Lewis looks at me and he's like, you're ready, right? And I'm like, ready for what? And he's like, I like what you're doing. You're going to tell these hundreds of people what you're doing. Like, okay. And like, literally, I had not prepared for this at all. I had gone to American Underground simply to verify I could do what I want to do. I wasn't even a member yet at that point. I just verified, and then I come to this meetup. So then I'm in front of hundreds of people. And I'm like, yeah, so I do this thing called Silicon Dojo, free to the end user technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do. We're going to be doing a lot of artificial intelligence classes over at American Underground, blase, blase. So just off the cuff, I do this. Well, here's the thing. As soon as I'm done, holy shit, I had like 20, 25 people come up to me. And they're like, we're on your website. We're on your website. So on your website, where is the schedule for this class? And I'm like, look, I just went to American Underground like an hour and a half ago. I just verified I could use their classroom. It's gonna be scheduled. It's going to be scheduled. Keep coming back to the website so that you can see what's scheduled. But think about that, right? The guy really cares about what I'm doing. He puts me up there. I get like 20. I get fucking like just People around, and they're on the website trying to sign up for a class that hasn't even been scheduled yet, right? And then there's this guy, Mark Hinkle. He runs another like AI meetup. And so he comes to me he's like, oh, okay, yeah, sounds really good. You're doing AI stuff. And he looks at me, he says, look, Eli, just tell me when the class is and we will fill that class. And I looked at him. I was like, oh, sure you will, buddy. Sure you will. But anyway, right, that's it. Look, that is a validation from a community leader that they care about what you're doing. But as I've said, distrust, verify, stay suspicious, right? People say a lot of shit. It's really easy to say shit. Let's just say most people don't follow it up. So anyways, right? So I finally post my little my little AI class. I get the class scheduled at American University. I post it on a meetup. I post it on Silicon Dojo. And we're getting the nice little trickle of people coming in. Again, I've got 35 seats. I got 35 seats at American University. I've got that nice trickle of people coming in. Some people are signing up on Silicon Dojo. Some people are signing up in Meetup. And I'm looking at that. Like, well, that's not good. Because it's hard to like do a cutoff. Because like, how do you cut off if people are signed up at two different places? And I was like, that's a workflow. That is a workflow problem right there. What happens when you have a limited number of seats, but people are RSVPing on two entirely different platforms that don't communicate with each other? I'm like, fuck, I got to figure out a solution. That is definitely something I have to think about. So anyways, and then I'm sitting there looking, and I was like, oh yeah, I should ping this Mark guy. I should definitely ping Mark, to tell him about the AI class, get another 20 people in there, right? If I can get 25 people showing up to this class, that'd be fucking awesome. My first class in Durham, I get 25 people to show up. Fucking awesome. Anyways, so I ping him, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'll send out an email. Yeah, about six hours later, I had 49 people signed up. I had 49 people signed up for a classroom that holds 35 people. As I go to Wix and as I go to Meetup, stop. I start canceling, I shut off the RSVP system because now I have 14 more people than I have seats to put them into. Not only that, we have a wait list. And I had to shut off the wait list too, because if people don't come, I don't want more people to come. I literally have more people coming to this thing than I have asses than seats for, right? More asses than seats. So even the wait list had it. So we have a wait list, but all of that just got shut down because if people don't show up or people drop out, I don't want things to get shifted. Not only that, then I had people emailing me say, hey, I see that the RSVPs are over, but can we squeeze in? And I'm like, no, please don't. But here's what I want you to understand. This is what I'm talking about with the geography of success. I have spent 4 or 5 years in Asheville. I have spent fucking money. I have communicated with members of the community. I've been part of leadership things with the community. I have done all this stuff, and nobody really cares. No, and it just is how it is. It just is how it is. People are like, yay, tech, and they don't give a fuck, right? You go to Durham, North Carolina. Holy shit, like. That is support. And this is where I try to explain people. When you say, Eli, how do I get a job? Right? A lot of it depends on where you live, right? Your success is going to depend as much in where you are as anything else. Are you in Asheville? Are you in Durham? Are you in Baltimore? Are you in Sioux City? Are you in Custer, South Dakota? I love Custer, South Dakota. Custer, South Dakota is fucking awesome. Man, it's got 300 people in it. Your career in tech is probably not going to do very well if you're in Custer, South Dakota. I don't care if you've got a CCIE, right? I think that's one of the big things to be considering right now. And so also one of the big things to be considering, right, is we're currently going through the economic kerfuffle, right? So we had the Biden administration. The Biden administration decided to print money. Printed money, inflation went through the roof, and then when people complained, he said, no. Anyways, so we hired Trump to deal with the inflation problem, and so he just decided to tax the hell out of us. Oh, I do hate our presidents. I hate them all. And so the problem is right now is we're going through an economic kerfuffle. We're going through an economic kerfuffle. But one of the issues when we talk about the economic kerfuffle, when we talk about the United States, is right, the United States is an empire. It's an empire. It's 3,000 miles by 2,000 miles and with massive overseas territories, right? So when we talk about the United States is not one thing. And we talk about our states. We have 50 states, right? The states literally are the concept of countries, right? They have their own governmental process and they're connected into the federal architecture, right? But it is absolutely massive. And so one of the things to realize when we start talking about the United States is from a the economy as far as the United States is concerned, from a geopolitical standpoint, that might make sense. If you're investing, that might make sense. If you're buying bonds, that might make sense. But for a lot of people, if you're trying to get a job, talking about the economy of the United States actually has almost no value. There is almost no value in talking about the economy of the United States. Because even during the boom, right? Even during the boom times, when people are making millions of dollars in San Francisco and all that kind of stuff, Akron, Ohio was still rotting. Right? If it was 2015 and 19-year-olds who graduated boot camps are making $250,000 a year in San Francisco, that didn't really have a damn thing to do with a 19-year-old in Akron, Ohio, right? Right? But like if you look at it from a national economy scale, look at how good the national economy is doing. Right? But on an individual level, it's just not the same way. Again, it's interesting having come from Baltimore. I lived in Baltimore for over 20 years, right? And when you talk about the economy of Maryland as a state is one of the wealthiest states in the United States. It's like 10% of the population is in a family that has a multi-million-dollar valuation, right? Literally, Maryland is one of the wealthiest states in the entire country. But you've also got Baltimore City. Right? It's like even in Maryland, well, Maryland's doing well. Well, if you're a black kid from the middle of Baltimore City, your viewpoint on the economy might be slightly different than somebody that's going to high school in Annapolis, private high school in Annapolis. And so that comes up with this. So currently, what is going on with their economy? Coming from Market Watch, we are in a recession. Are we in a recession? Yes. If you live in one of these 22 states. So again, and think about this from a national level. So green is expansion. If you're in Texas, if you're in North Carolina, if you're in some other place, the economy is doing better. If you're in beige, you're treading water, you're about the same. And if you're in red, your economy is going down. So Washington State, Oregon, West Virginia, Maryland right now, right? And so this is one of the things to be thinking about when you're thinking about, again, things like jobs and economy. And one of the things where you may have to move. Right? The difference between Asheville and Durham is just you simply cannot compare. Why am I willing to drive 3 hours and 20 minutes to teach classes in Durham? Because I would rather teach in a place that has actual demand than a place where I have to beg people to show up, right? And that's an important thing to consider. The U.S. economy is very close to falling into a damaging contraction, and many states are already experiencing a recession, according to Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. Zandi estimates that 22 states, plus the District of Columbia, are now experiencing persistent economic weakness and job losses that are likely to continue. Another 13 states are treading water, he noted. Right? So 22 states, basically, are in weakness and dealing with job losses already, and 13 are basically plateaued, right? So you're looking at about 2/3 of the states are either economically failing at this point or barely keeping their head above water. The overall picture is one of a weak U.S. economy that is vulnerable to being pushed into a ditch by a strong wind. Quote, the economy is still not in recession, but the risks are very high. We're on the precipice, as Andy said. California and New York are among the states that are treading water. If either of those falters, it could tip the economy into recession. A separate forecast by UCLA, Anderson School of Management, released this week, stated that a recession in California is now plausible. And that's one of the things to remember with recessions. They always talk about recessions historically. They never really say we're in a recession. They say we were in a recession. A common denominator of the states in recession is that they have weak farm economies or faltering light manufacturing. Kind of ironic. Any part of the country whose economies depend on goods producing activities, agriculture, mining, and light manufacturing are currently weak, Zandy said, adding that a weak transportation sector is exacerbating the downturn. So yeah, that is basically currently what we're dealing with. 22 states are already dealing with economic issues. A few states are doing pretty good. Basically, the country economically seems to be on the downward trajectory. And so that's one of the things to be considering with like a lot of the folks that have long-term unemployment, right? So long-term unemployment currently is skyrocketing, right? So the thing is like you get unemployed and the idea is you try to go out there and try to get a job as quickly as possible, right? Well, there's many things that can happen during the economy, which basically makes it so that you cannot get a job, and it might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be 2 years. The issue is, and I can tell you this from people hiring, remember, people that are hiring, they're not just deciding upon you. It's not just simply, are you a good pick for the job, yes or no, right? If you have one position and you have 100 resumes that come in, or 2,000 resumes, again, as I've talked about this before, and you've really got to think about it, think about the other side of the transaction. When you cry and bitch and whine and moan that you put out 2,000 resumes and you haven't gotten a response, people like me are having cold sweats at the idea of the poor bastards getting 2,000 resumes. Imagine if you have one position open and you get 2,000 resumes, right? You've got to weed through those resumes any way you can, right? You got to get that to 100. You got to get down to 100 good enough resumes. That literally means 1,900 resumes have to get thrown in the trash. That's your first priority. And then past that, then you got to weed that down to the 20 that could probably actually do the job. Then you've actually got to bring people in for interviews and the whole 9 yards. One of the interesting things with kind of human psychology, especially in the United States, is the whole issue of if people sit on the market too long, it's like they become cursed. I think about that with housing, right? So we just bought a new house and we were looking at different houses and trying to figure out, why the value of one house is below the value of another house. And one of the issues that comes up is that if a house is on the market too long, if the house is on the market for like over 90 days, people just start assuming there's a problem with it, right? If it's been on the market for over 90 days, obviously there's a problem with it because nobody else has bought it. Right, but there can be a whole bunch of other issues, right? It could have been on the market and there was a tenant that didn't allow people to look inside the house for the first, 89 days or something. They may have thought that they were going to get an offer and then the offer didn't come through. There's a lot of stuff, but just psychologically, again, I've talked to many real estate agents about this, and there is a time period. They all kind of disagree with where exactly the number of days is, but somewhere around that 90-day mark, right? You go over 90 days and people just start assuming there's an issue with the house because nobody else has bought it. Well, obviously there must be a problem, right? The same type of thing is true when you start dealing with long-term unemployment, right? People start looking at the resume, and remember, you're a resume out of dozens, possibly thousands. So the person, even if they weed you down, right? Even if you got the right certifications, even if you got the right degrees, even if you have the right experience, right? Remember at the end of the day, there's still 20 competitors that they're going to be looking at. And then they look at one person, they just got out of school or whatever. Well, that makes sense. They look at another person, they're currently working, they're just looking for a better job, right? That makes sense. You look at another person, oh, they got laid off 2 or 3 weeks ago. Well, that makes sense. And then they look at your resume, and you got laid off, your last experience is a year ago. Well, that's weird. That's weird. Because if you look, the education is good. If you look, the certifications are good. If you look, the other qualifications are good. So what's wrong with this person? Obviously, there's something wrong with this person if they haven't been able to get a job in a year, right? And again, the hiring person, the first priority is to throw away resumes. And so one of the things to be thinking about, right, is you look at a map like this and you get laid off and you ask yourself, which state are you in? If you're in Texas, right? If you're in Texas, like that's Oklahoma, you're in Florida, right? Well, you probably just put out some more resumes. Put out some more resumes, do some more meetups, kiss some more ass. Hopefully you'll be good. Hopefully you'll be good, right? If you're in one of the tan states, maybe that's where you do a little bit more research. Okay, with where you're at, the rest of it, are people hiring? The economy might be fine, but the economy might be fine because the whole hiring process seized up. Are people hiring or not? Figure that out. Maybe you stay or maybe you go, right? If you're in one of these red states, let's hope you're not tied down by a mortgage. Let's hope you're not tied down by a mortgage because it'll probably be a good idea to leave, go somewhere else. And so this is something that you're going to have to consider. Remember, with your career, with everything in life, it is a bet. It is a bet, right? There are bets with better or worse odds, but it's always a bet. And so you've got to sit there and look at it, and you've got to think, if you've been laid off, do you really feel comfortable? Do you think you're going to be able to get a job again? And think about this. If you're going to buy a house, right? If you're renting a house right now, right? There's more houses on the market. The interest rates are coming down. Do you feel comfortable buying a house, right? I wouldn't say Florida. But if you're in North Carolina, right? If you're in North Carolina, if you're in South Carolina, if you're in Texas, you might feel more comfortable basically putting that anchor around your leg. Because once you buy that house, you can walk away, but it's really hard. It's really hard to walk away. Whereas if you have rent, right? If you put down a lease, worst case scenario, you owe the complete amount of that lease. So again, if you spend $2,000 a month for an apartment, worst case scenario, you're out $24,000 if you have to leave. I mean, it sucks, but that is a manageable amount, right? Whereas again, if you buy a house, you have now put a $500,000 anchor around your leg at the exact same time the economy is going sideways. Even if you decide, well, I will just sell my house, will you be able to just sell it? So these are kind of the things to be thinking about and pondering with the economic kerfuffle. Again, we have been going through an economic crap show, as I've said, since 2008, right? With a lot of this, there's this idea, I have TDS, which I do. I do. Trump has made me deranged. But this isn't just simply under Trump, right? This is under George Bush. George Bush caused the disaster. Obama, muddle through it. Then we got Trump the first time, then we got Biden, then we got Trump again. Basically, the second Bush administration, got us into this economic disaster. Biden or Obama was able to do the things to try to get us out. But the problem is things like with interest rates and other things weren't wound back fast enough. And so we just started getting more and more weirder and weirder bubbles. And so now we're in an issue where our basic economy is unsound at the exact same time the Trump administration is putting massive taxes onto all of us. Again, tariffs are taxes, right? Willy-nilly, he wakes up in the morning and all of a sudden there's another massive tax, right? Where he's going to punish other countries by taxing the crap out of us. At the exact same time, they're trying to get rid of a million people who live in the United States per year. And yes, they are illegal immigrants, but right, these are a million beds. This is 3 million meals that are served every day. The whole 9 yards. That kind of stuff is going on. We have the layoffs in the federal government, right? We're currently going through the federal government shutdown. And he's not going to furlough people. He's going to lay them off. He's already laid off hundreds of thousands of federal workers, right? So we're going through all of that. And so you really have to be thinking about where do you feel most comfortable making a stand? Like where do you put the bet? So anyways, I don't know. There are some thoughts there. There are some thoughts. What do you think about this? What do you think about 22 states are already, quote unquote, in a recession? With 10 or 13 or whatever others that are basically, treading water at this point. What do you think about this from where you're at? Are you in a state that's doing well, or are you in a state that is failing? Put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing, call me a moron. Just be a real Lutnick and do it down there in the comment section, right? Anyways, as you know, silicondojo.com. Silicon Dojo is my pride and joy. Hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. We're having a first class in a couple of days on Wednesday in Durham, North Carolina. That is all full, but we will be having more classes. So if you're interested in that, become a member of Silicon Dojo. So you keep up to date. And with that, see y'all later.